Hey, tonight's shave, lather games. The theme is the art of shaving, referring to the art or beautiful packaging, artwork, that sort of thing. And it's a little tricky because there are some soaps that I probably like the artwork better, um, but I want to vary my stuff uh, per maker, my soap per maker. And so that means if Barrister and Man has its own day, then I can't use it today. And that's just the way the Lather Games works. But I am glad to be able to show off and mention some of the soaps that this one maker does that I just really enjoy the artwork on. And it's Dr. Jon's. And this is part of his Cold War series from a bit ago, Propaganda. He's got Defiance and Conquest, which were also part of that. And it was a very similar style like this. And I think it's got a great look. It's just a couple of colors, not a bunch of busyness regarding colors. And so there's a good solid feel to it, a quality feel to it, like some intelligence was put into the artwork. His other pieces, like Flowers in the Dark, 13, 1805, Anne Bonny, the classic. I've got the post shave. Look at that. Not too many colors going on here, but look at the different values of the colors. We've got neutrals in there as well as the main kind of muted red color there, used in different strengths. And that's what real art is. And I think it's just terrific. It's got a classic feel to it. It feels well designed to me. Let's see, any other ones that jump out at me. Black Label's really classy. It's simple, classy. So I just like so many of those. And Propaganda happens to be one of my favorite scents from him. Not my favorite piece of artwork from him, but it's just to show that awesome style. And so I am glad to use it. And it came like this, and I've spooned it out once before. Really enjoyed it. Maybe used it twice. But I'm going to brush load it in the tub today. Had a long day driving today, so if I just fall over, you'll know why. So I picked and chose as many beautiful things as I could this time. I matched the maker with the splash there. And today is also sponsored by Dogwood Handcrafts, and they make brushes. And so I have finally acquired a Dogwood brush. And look at that awesome wood pattern there. This one's called Sunset, and it's got this purple haze down below. I'm not quite as into the purple. I acknowledge its attractiveness. It's very beautiful. I probably might prefer maybe a different color, so I'm trying to swap this out with somebody online, but haven't had any takers yet. But this is my first brush from him, and I discovered the handles are just larger than I thought they were, which is great because it fits really well. This is the Timberwolf knot. If it was lofted a little higher, I could enjoy it a lot. It's still a little bit pokey when it's set this deep into the handle. I have another brush where it's higher, and I was able to learn that I can actually enjoy the Timberwolf knot if it is lofted high. Most blades have kind of bland artwork, but I found one that has a few colors to it, Super Max. And this is the Diamond Edge Super Platinum. We've got blues and reds and grays and blacks. And so that's about as arty and attractive packaging as you're going to get with a blade. I've already got it loaded up in the razor, one of my sexiest, beautifulest razors that I have. This is a T-Bam, I don't know how it's pronounced, handle, titanium. I love this. It's got a diagonal diamond type pattern, but the diamonds are knurled. And so it doesn't look really like a diamond pattern. It just looks like a really cool arrangement. It all kind of goes together in one texture, but then you look at it and there's interest to it. And of course, I think the timeless heads, stainless steel, are all just gorgeous anyway. And this one is the, see if it'll focus, the 68. And it is the scalloped bar, not an open comb, just a scalloped bar. And it's a smooth shaver. I really, really enjoy it. I've introduced all the stuff. My usual lather bowl from Roger Quintero, and this is one he and I worked on, and I helped just a little bit. He did most of the work, and it's a 3D printable. The links to the files are in the description, and if you have access to a 3D printer, print one up yourself. This is the extra large version because I like a lot of room to maneuver and a room to hold the lather that I make. Since I'm a bowl lather, I don't just mix up a little bit and then finish it on my face. I do it all in the bowl. All right, so since this is a synthetic, I did not have to soak the brush prior to the shave. So my rhythm is going to be just, I might seem a little unnatural since I'm just so used to soaking the brush and doing things like that. I have more stubble than usual because yesterday's shave was with that Micromatic by Jim, and that was a rough, harsh shave. I discovered that carbon gem blade is just not really a smooth one for a lot of people, and that's kind of what I was guessing. But I wanted to put a carbon blade into the mix with the lather games just to give a whole lot of variety to what we're doing. The PTFE or PFTE, I don't remember which one it is. That was the single edge blade that a lot of people recommended for using with that razor. And otherwise, it can be a really, really aggressive razor, really harsh. And I believe I used that blade once before, and that's probably the one I remember as being, pretty good shave. I didn't have any problems with it. Now I'm curious. I haven't really felt any tenderness or rawness. It went away pretty quickly. I put some balm on later yesterday, and so my face feels like it has recovered. But sometimes as you start the next shave, the face can let you know that it's a little more tender than you think. So we'll see what happens. All right, I wet my face, so now let's load up. And a lot of the tins and containers are plastic these days. I kind of like the feel of the metal ones. They do dent in transport and things like that, but sometimes they can lock up and not want to come off. Now this one is, it does not have, there was one kind of oil, slippery elm bark, I think, as a content, and I believe his website said that is one that when he created volume 2 of his soap base, and so I'm guessing this is volume 1. So we'll try it out. So completely dry synthetic. Just get it wet. No need to soak it. Obviously, there's no absorption of the water or anything like that. And then, as usual, shake most of the water out. And we'll do a 30-second load. And 45 is going to roll around here in one more second. All right, there we go. Nice wide tin. I like that. I'm going to pause for just a couple of seconds and just add a little bit of water to the soap because it just was mixing up a little dry. Okay, so we'll get back to it and just go a little, maybe with this synthetic brush, since it doesn't absorb any water, it might be wise to have a little bit more in your brush than I usually do. All right, there we go. Let's try that. Roughly 30 seconds. I tried to approximate. I feel like I should do it for more, but we can always do that later if I need to. All right. So now we'll take the brush to the bowl. I've enjoyed the performance of both the Volume 1 and Volume 2 soap bases from Dr. Jon's. He's definitely one maker that I have multiples of, because I just enjoy the scents and the artwork and the performance of the soap a lot. Really slick. Okay, that has kind of stabilized. So I'm going to get some water. At this location, I am fortunate enough to have pretty soft water, so that'll make us some nice lathers. And Dr. Jon's is a pretty thirsty soap. Went ahead and added a whole teaspoon at first. If I put a couple of teaspoons in and the quantity doesn't quite look right, see, like right now, not a lot is getting stirred up, a little bit right there. So I may just need to go back to the puck. That's all right. Go ahead and add another teaspoon. Just see what happens. See if we've got some more soap in the brush that's going to come out and puff up into some lather. This one's not scented very strongly, and it's old, a year or two old, and it's going to affect the scent sometimes. This takes some pressure to keep it in a little bit of a splay while you're mixing. If you're a person who just likes to work with the tips, then this knot might be a good one for you. Now, yeah, we have definitely seen some increase in the lather, but it's not a whole lot. Let's add some more water, because I know Dr. Jon's is thirsty, and so if I find that I add, 3 teaspoons of water, then two things are going to happen. More soap is going to come out of the brush, mix with that water, and create more lather for me. Or it's going to stay pretty thin, and I'll know that I need to just add more soap. This resin handle does get a little slippery when wet and soapy. Wow, sneaky little bugger. It's coming alive here. Look at that. Look at that. It is quite a lot of arm work here. Because of that, I'm just used to nice soft borders and badgers and not pressing and gripping this thing, because when it's wet, it's just really slippery. So you have to kind of death grip it to keep control and press it in to keep that right splay. How about that? I just wouldn't. I thought I was going to have to go back to the puck. I mean, it's not an overabundance of lather, but I'll bet it'll be 3 passes worth. Definitely going to have a feel of it in just a second here and make sure it's not too thin. A little bit of viscosity, not a whole lot. Not a lot of slipperiness here. When I wipe the thumb pad across my fingers, it kind of takes the lather with it, and so I'm thinking I need to go back to the puck. So that has helped me to know what to do. Let me pause you while no, we can do that. But yeah, man, maybe it's because I've been awake for a really long time and my muscles I just finished driving for 7 hours. But it just feels like I'm getting a workout with this thing. Where did my soap go? Put it over here. All right, so we'll go back to the soap for, let's just do 15 seconds, just to kind of make sure we have everything we need. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more water in the soap. All right, 20, starting at the 20 mark right there. So we'll go to 35. A little bit of pressure just to get a little bit of splay there. One more second, and there we go. Yeah, 20 to 35. That's 15 seconds. All right, let's try that out. A big question online on the forums and stuff is how do you dry your soap? A lot of people leave it open for 24 hours so that it really dries out. That's not me. I rinse off the sides so that the threads of it or the side parts are clear so that the lid can be reattached. It's definitely easier to do now when it's wet. And then I set it aside, and my shaves sometimes will take 30 to 40 minutes, and so it has that long to sit open. And in many cases, that's a good bit of drying time, and that's enough for me. And then often I'll cap it up and put it away after that. All right, so take the newly lathered brush and see if we can thicken this up again. May need to add more water because we added 15 seconds of soap, and we may still need just a little bit more water to help bring that out. Yeah, it's definitely up to the lather amount here. That's a slippery brush handle. This brush handle may be a little more suited for face latherers. I want to change my grip, see if that helps. I'm getting my fingers down and dirty into the lather more, but it is providing a more comfortable grip. Now let's kind of, yeah, there we go. Creamy. Slickness is back. There we go. Now we may add some water, but let's put it on my face first and see. So nice. A little bit of pre-shave. Disturb some of the oils that are kind of on my face. I am definitely an oily complexioned guy. I do not have a problem with dryness on my skin for the most part. All right. So, a little splash. And here we go. I've used this brush, I think once before. And like so many synthetics, because it's lofted a little low, or actually it might be lofted at an average setting, it kind of pushes, see how it kind of pushes my skin around, and it's very springy. Sometimes it's a little nicer if you just use the tips instead of trying to make it splay. Yeah. Let's add a little bit of water. The synthetics do have a synthetic feel to them, this consistent smoothness, because most of them have really, really soft tips because they've been engineered that way. Nothing wrong with that. but the feel is just, it's very consistent, smooth, and I like a little bit more variability with the badger knots and the boar knots. I have found just a couple of synthetics that aren't too springy for me, and I do have those in my arsenal. Whip them out when I need to, especially when traveling, because they dry a lot quicker than the animal hair knots. All right, felt nice and smooth going on. It doesn't look too dry, looks pretty good. I think I'm going to get a good performance out of this one. And not only is this handle have a nice looking pattern, but as you would guess, from that pattern you get excellent grip. It's actually the first time I have used this handle. I think it matches the look of this Timeless really well, because the Timeless kind of has a chunky head, and so I think the thickness and the girth of this handle matches that. I don't need the long handle. Oh man, that is just moving through the hairs. I can feel it cutting just a little bit, but there's just no tugging. Very, very comfortable. No negative feelings at all. On my neck here, this is kind of a cross grain pattern. And there we go, just a quick first pass. One of the generalities is don't try to remove everything at once. It's about reduction, not elimination in one pass. Just reduce it. And if you want to switch things around, it's your shave. If you want to focus and buff and really try to get each section in detail, that's up to you. If that gives you a better feel, gives you better time, time conservation, or that sort of thing, if that's your personality, then it's up to you. Nice creamy feel. This is a vegan soap base, so you're not going to get that buttery slick tallow feel, but it's still very nice. All right, let's load up this soap. Load this lather into the brush. Oh yeah, let me show you how the lather looks, what kind of viscosity we're dealing with. So here's a big blob. Well, it stays pretty much together, not the peaks, not very long. If I pull it up and try to stretch it, see it separates without really stretching too much. So in a way, it's kind of on the dry side, relatively speaking, but soaps are just different. How that felt on my face was just right. It didn't feel too dry. I had good glide, so it felt like it connected to my skin nicely. So I think this is about right for Dr. Jon's. Just run this maybe a little more dry looking than I usually have it. Don't need to scrub because I did that on the first pass. And sometimes I scrub just to get the feel of the brush, but since I don't like the way most synthetics scrub, I'm going to kind of immediately switch to the painting and just get a nice lather down. The lather just feels great. Nice and creamy and smooth. The scent on this one is not very strong. It's very, very light, maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10 when in use. Let me stick my nose in the bowl. Here it's really very light too. I think there's some citrus as a part of this one, along with maybe some other stabilizing notes to kind of add some complexity to it, I think is the general idea, but it's really kind of hard to detect. Whether that's the age of the soap, not quite sure. Most of the Dr. Jon stuff I've used is stronger than this, so it might just be a little on the old side. All right, so I don't think I've whipped out this blade. Indeed, most of the other Supermax blades that I have, I think I have 2 others, since last year's Lather games, and it's a very nice pairing because I had a good bit of stubble left over, maybe a day and a half, maybe a little bit more than that, on my face, and it just took care of it. It just smoothly rode through it with only giving a slight feel of that cutting action. And so very, very comfortable. And I just now realized how much hair it was cutting through. And now even more smooth. As you would expect with the second pass. Really like the timeless razors. I can shave with a 95. I believe I can shave with it every day. But the 68 is just so smooth. Just really, where I am right now with what I want to get from a shave, I just want that smoothness. Since in fact I've discovered that there are plenty of smooth razors that give me the closeness that I want. So why go aggressive if you don't need to? That's kind of what I'm thinking these days. And rinse. All right, shave is going along nicely. And once I've got the lather mixed up, I was kind of able to dry off the handle a little bit, and so it's just no longer giving me any kind of grief once I am done with the lather mixing. Putting it on the face here, it's a good handle for that. As you can see, I've got lots of lather. This is the third pass. How much lather do we have left? Maybe a little bit more than I usually like to have, but because I definitely have maybe 2 passes here. I like to kind of end in 1 pass or so, but you know, a good bit of lather. That's just fine. This is a good soap. It's very dense, and because it's thirsty, you know, it doesn't really have the water in it, and so I think that helps it to be a fairly economical soap to where you get a lot for your buck kind of thing. All right, third pass. So I'm liking this handle. I do not use the length of the handle. If you watch, I usually have a grip something like this, and so could I then shorten the handle to be that? Sure, I could, but you know what that would do? It would change the balance. This is a heavy head, and so I specifically chose this longer handle to offset and balance so that I could hold it in my sweet spot, and the balance will be just right. If you use the length of your handle, and I think guys with large hands tend to do this especially, if you use that length as leverage, and I've said this a zillion times in my videos, then you can maybe push the razor a little too much into your skin if it runs into a bump. Whereas a nice light touch like this, see, it's a very narrow grip, and so there's a lot of flexibility. Then the narrower grip lets you allow the razor to move instead of you moving the razor, so it glides over the surface instead of through it. Of course, not through it, but you know what I mean. All right, tremendous, a lot of comfort. I did not have any tenderness step up or appear because of yesterday's shave, so that's cool, no problem there. All right, let's rinse this off. You know, in some areas of life, beauty comes at a cost because there's a balance. You may find a beautiful girl, have a girlfriend for a little while, but the offside is she's kind of entitled because she's been given things her whole life because people enjoy her beauty and she didn't have to work for very much. I'm not saying it's all that way, but I think we've all met people like that. Well, in this case, beautiful razor, beautiful brush, beautiful artwork. No sacrifices here. The performance was excellent. Comfort, there's zero irritation on my face. Closeness, this blade did not really deliver a super close shave. So you know what we do? Let's gather up a little touch-up soap. I now regret rinsing my brush. Let's do a little touch-up run. I haven't had to do a touch-up in a long time. Right, here's my trouble spot. Cheeks are fine. It's a convex surface. Just about anything cuts them well. I want to make sure that I stretch my neck just a little bit, not a lot. You don't want to overstretch. And then I'm going to do this cross grain pattern. I might even turn the razor head a little bit so it's kind of a slant. It does make cutting easier sometimes when it's done at a slant. Not too many times. The soap does allow you to go over a certain area a few times before it starts to get dry. And we call that sometimes secondary or residual slickness. And that sure felt good. I didn't feel like I irritated any skin, so let me rinse that away. Well, that touch-up pass, and I actually did another one off camera, just really trying to focus on the right angles and stuff, and it didn't really work either. So this, for my skin at least, this blade and razor, while being comfortable, aren't exactly a close cutting combo. I do have a fine shave. It's a close shave, but there are still a good many tips in my trouble area here that have a little bit of length to be seen on them. And most of the blades I've been using for the whole lather games, in fact, maybe even a week or two before that, have been able to deliver for me a much closer shave. And so while it's comfortable, for my skin at least, it's kind of an inferior result. Now, I can't go against the grain because it gives me irritation and cuts and that sort of thing. So if you can go against the grain, this could be a good blade for you because that will give you that extra edge, that extra bit of cutting depth that may make it work well for you. So I'm not saying it's not a good blade for you. All right, well, there we go. And let us bust out the classic and I'll tell you if it's got any good stuff for your skin. Witch hazel, rosewater, glycerin, aloe, alum, and then this one does have some menthol. I am not a big menthol fan, but it'll be all right. And of course it's got alcohol. All right, shake it up just in case those ingredients in there need to be kind of recombined. See what kind of alcohol burn I get. Yeah, some. Mainly in this area where I had to work it a few times. And so in retrospect, those 2 extra touch-ups right there, not really worth it because I didn't get to where I wanted to go in terms of closeness. And my eyes feel a little bit of the menthol, but it's not a strong menthol. I don't think it's going to last too long, maybe 10-15 minutes. All right, but I do usually like non-menthol soap, so I'll probably, even though I like the scent on this, do like I did with the Reef Point balms that I bought a year or 2 ago. I just love the scents so much that I bought the balms. They were on sale as well, and I get them all home and delivered, and they all have menthol. So I had to pass them on to somebody else. All right, well, that's a good ending. Cooling effect. It's been a warm day, kind of a wet and soggy day outside. Really happy with the comfort of the shave. It was refreshing to get back to that after yesterday's roughness. And I'm fine with, with that amount. I mean, it's, most people are going to be fine with that kind of closeness because people you interact with are not going to be as close to you as it might take to detect a problem with that kind of shave. All right, so I'm going to clean up. Got my post-shave put on, and I'll see you in a minute. One thing about the menthol in many splashes, and it does apply to this one too, you don't really smell as much of the actual scent as you do that menthol at first. And then, that goes away. The burn or cooling effect goes away after a little bit. And then you can smell the scent. Something I've seen with synthetics and other people's brushes is a patch in the middle where it's kind of bare. And that's probably because they're smashing it too hard, either against their face or in the bowl or that sort of thing. And that's probably means you're doing it too hard. However, this is a tool. And if you want to use it that way, if that's the splay that you like, it's your tool. Use it that way. But if you don't intend to do that, then maybe back off on the pressure a little bit, maybe on your next brush or something. I mean, these synthetic knots are really cheap. And so if you oversplay one and you don't like it too much, just pop it out and buy another one. They're pretty cheap. Stick another one in. I like to use just normal silicone. You don't have to use a lot, and it works really well. All right. How much water did I use? 3 teaspoons. And I did put a few drops on the brush extra, but 3 teaspoons, pretty much what we used. And it is soft water here, and I did use cool tap water. And that was a 30-second load approximately. If you recall, I added some water midway. I'm really glad I did. I think that's pretty important. With an animal hair brush, I wouldn't have had to do that because the synthetic just doesn't hold the water. So you need to start out with a little bit more in it or on top of the soap, either way. And then in addition to the 30, I did another 15. And so I'd probably start with 45 next time if I was using this, this same brush, that sort of thing. So 45-second load roughly, and 3 teaspoons of water. And as usual, I'm going to preface that or suffix that by saying that I give these recipes just as a general guideline, where if you're really having trouble with the lather, then maybe the generalities here can help you to zone in and get a little closer to a better lather. You may get the same lather that I got, and that's great. But at least it might get you closer if you're having trouble. So that's why I give those recipes. Not that it's the perfect ratio or it's what you should use. I'm just, putting it out there, and if it helps somebody. So, the Super Max Diamond Edge Super Platinum. Not really a winner for me today. Just the way it goes. As usual, the caveats that I said apply. And one thing is that this blade could be a great one for another razor for me. It's all about the geometry and different things like that. So even I shouldn't write this one off because it didn't deliver with the timeless 68. I have this little container here with all the blades that I used last year for lather games. Some exotic ones that I got from tryablade.com, things like that. I like to try to vary the blades as well as the other products during the lather games. So tomorrow is, I believe, Michael Friedberg Day, and I believe it's a day where we use a soap from Europe. And so I think maybe I recall most of the soaps I've seen him review are from Europe. Maybe he has a real penchant for those. And the soap that I'm going to use, I believe, is Saponificio Veracino, if I'm pronouncing that right. And it is one of my all-time favorites ever. But definitely from them is Tundra Arctica. And it's kind of a sandalwood, a little bit of cranberry, a little bit of lichen, moss, type scent. I really, really enjoy it. Great performer. A hard soap that lasts a long time. Even though it can be expensive, I believe that by the time you add up cost per shave, due to the fact that it lasts so long, it's actually pretty economical. And the razor is also from Europe, from France. It's a Gibbs razor. one of my viewers and online friends loaned it to me before the Lather games. I was able to use it several times, then I had to stop because of the Lather games. I did put it through some good paces, some good blades, and so I had a good chance to sample it. And so he allowed me to save it for one day in the Lather games. I'm going to use it tomorrow, and it's a French razor. It's an adjustable, and it is really, really smooth. It uses proprietary blades, and so with the DE blades that we have now, I have to cut a chunk of them out to be able to use it, but that's not really a problem. So it's a neat piece of history. It's well taken care of, and I am glad and privileged to be able to use it. So that's coming tomorrow for Europe Day. All right, now. Today was sponsored in the Lather Games by Dogwood Handcrafts. Just want to give a shout out to Stephen, who's a part of that. I've dealt with him on a few occasions. He's always been such a stand-up guy, receiving criticism and feedback, positive stuff, all in great stride. Just terrific to deal with, and really happy with his work that I've seen in his handles. Just tremendous. They're such in high demand that they're really hard to get. So be it, good for him, bad for the rest of us, right? But I'm glad to be able to have one and use it. I mean, look at that wood grain, and it's been stabilized with whatever material that's needed, and it's just terrific. If this was just kind of a darker color or something like that, I would just be keeping this handle without a doubt. But it's just terrific. He's even started putting some in the clear bottoms, suspending a few objects down there, like an exploded bullet or a seahorse, different things like that. All right, so he is also an excellent member of the Reddit wet shaving community. A lot of good information, always helpful. Got a great sense of humor too. And one time he actually shaved with this huge 70 millimeter synthetic brush, and he made one company made the brush knot to be excessively large, and so he made a handle to fit that brush, and then he shaved with it. He couldn't even grip it with just one hand. It was excellent. So hats off to him for being such a valuable member of our community as well. And there we go. I think we're good. The menthol is still in me. I can still feel it. I'm starting to smell a little bit more of the classic aftershave or post-shave splash. But the menthol is still, but it's a very light feeling right now, so hopefully it'll go away soon. And it is a cooling feeling right now, which I'm glad about, because sometimes the menthol gives me more of a burning feeling that I don't like. Excellent shave, long day, time to get out of here. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there was something here that helped you out. Good night.